Good morning, friends. Myself, Manoj Kumar Chitale, Assistant Professor, Hira Sugar Institute of Technology, NITSOCI. In the previous session, we people have gone through or discussed multiplexing, and that multiplexing technique is mainly used to achieve the bandwidth efficiency. And here we people are going to discuss about another technique called a spread spectrum. In spread spectrum, we combine signals from different sources to fit into a larger bandwidth. But our goal is somewhat different. The first one, we people are interested in preventing eavesdropping. Another one is jamming. In the sense, this spread spectrum simply provides or used for a privacy purpose. The second one is for an anti-jamming purpose. Most of the time, we people are using this technique in wireless applications. Here, to achieve these goals, a spread spectrum technique add a redundancy. Suppose if a required bandwidth for each station is a B here, and this spread spectrum expands this bandwidth to a BSS. That is, the BSS is larger than the bandwidth B here. And whatever the expanded bandwidth we people are getting because of this process, that allows the source to wrap its message in a protective envelope. That is nothing but you people are hiding your information, we can say that, in an envelope. The way you people are sending some sort of gifts by wrapping those gifts in boxes. And this spread spectrum achieve these two goals. One is anti-jamming, another one is privacy, by using two principles. One is it allocates the larger bandwidth than what is needed. The second one, the expanding process or the expanding of the original bandwidth B to a bandwidth BSS, and that must be done by a process that is independent of the original signal, in the sense that spreading process occurs after the signal is generated by the source here. This is the spreading process. Okay, the station requires a bandwidth of a B here. The spreading process we people are using that applies some spreading codes and expands the bandwidth to a BSS here. Here we people are using two approaches or methods. One is a frequency hopping spread spectrum, and the second one is a direct sequence spread spectrum, that is FHSS. Another one is a DSSS. In a frequency hopping spread spectrum, we people are using m different carrier frequencies that are modulated by a source signal, one at a time. Okay, listen carefully. Here we people are using m different carrier frequencies that are modulated by a source signal. One at a moment, a signal modulates one carrier frequency. At another moment, the signal modulates the another frequency here. If you look at this process is very similar to a monkey jumping from one branch to another branch. And here in this spreading process, that is a frequency hopping spreading process, what we people are doing here, the signal modulates a one carrier frequency at a time, at one moment. In the next moment, it modulates another carrier frequency here. And here we people are using m different frequencies that are used in that long run here. And because of this spreading process, we people are getting the bandwidth that is that is greater than the original one. Here, if you look at this figure, we people are having a pseudo random generator, or we can say that a pseudo random noise, that is a PN, that creates a k-bit pattern for every hopping period Tn here. And we people are using this frequency table, okay, that is used to find a frequency that needs to be used for this hopping period, and we people are passing that information to this frequency synthesizer. Here we have a pseudo random code generator or a pseudo random noise that creates a k-bit pattern, so that we can find which frequency we need to select for a hopping period, as well as we people are passing this information to the frequency synthesizer. This frequency synthesizer produces or creates a carrier signal with that frequency, and this source signal or original signal modulates that carrier signal here. Here that is how we people are selecting these frequencies or a carrier signal for our spreading process here. Here the pseudo random noise creates a k-bit pattern. Based on this k-bit pattern, we people are selecting the carrier frequency here. Okay, we people are passing this information to the frequency synthesizer. This frequency synthesizer produces a carrier signal of that frequency here, and here the original signal modulates that a carrier signal here. Here we people are having 8 hops here, where and that is a m value is 8 here, and the k value is 3 here. That is, we have 8 hopping frequencies. If you look at this particular scenario, whatever in the first hopping period, that is the first hopping period, we people are selecting the frequency that is a carrier signal with a frequency of 700. In the sense, we people are transmitting the data or the signal in this particular channel here. In the next hopping period, we people, that is a k-bit pattern here, we people are selecting. In the second one, we people are selecting a 900. In the second hopping period, I am selecting this a carrier signal as with a frequency of 900 kilohertz here. Here in the second hopping period, we people are transmitting our signal in this particular channel. In the third hopping period, we people are transmitting the signal in this particular hopping period. In the fourth hopping period, we people are transmitting the signal in this channel here, that is a 200 kilohertz. That is, and we people are repeating this process over the subsequent cycles here. Subsequent cycles here. If you look at this process, we people are transmitting our information over this channel for a very short period of a time, that is over this hopping period. Okay, we have a m number of a hopping we have a m number of a hopping frequencies we have, and over a hopping period you people are transmitting your information or a signal for a very short period of a time here. Okay, and this process is even for example, if the intermediate node, if that fellow is trying to access your information, the fellow is able to access only small piece of a code here, because the fellow don't know in which particular channel or in which particular frequency we people are transmitting our information in the next hop here. That is a one process that how this particular FHS mechanism can be used for the anti-jamming process. If you look at the amount of a bandwidth that we people or the station share in this particular process, if you look at the frequency division multiplexing, suppose if you have the m number of stations, on that case each station will receive the same amount of the bandwidth here. For example, in case of a FDM, each station will get around 1 by m a fraction of a bandwidth here, and the allocation is the fixed one or a static, we can say that each station, because this band is simply allocated for these stations, and the station simply uses these bands to transmit their information, that is their signals. Okay, and this allocation is a fixed one. And in case of the FHSS, the amount of a bandwidth that is shared by the station is also the same one, that is a 1 by m fraction of a bandwidth is shared by this station, but the allocation is changes, but the allocation changes on a hop by hop basis here. The next one, we have a direct sequence spread spectrum. The direct sequence spread spectrum, it is also a spreading technique. Okay, but the way we expand that a bandwidth, that is a completely different one. That is a completely different one here. Okay, this particular approach or a technique expands the bandwidth of this original signal. Okay, by using some sort of a chips here. Okay, for that purpose only we people are saying that this process is different from the previous one. Here what we people are doing, each data bit is replaced with a n bit spreading code here. Here we have a spreading code, we have a original signal. Here these data bits are replaced by a n bit spreading code here. Okay, in the sense each bit is assigned a code of n bits. We simply call them as a chips here, where the chip rate is a n times that of the a data bit here. Here in this process we people are using this sequence called a Barker sequence. Okay, where the n value is 11. That is, we people are using 11 bit chip codes, and your data bits are coded with those chipping sequence. And here we people are using one famous chipping sequence called a Barker sequence, and that Barker sequence has a 11-bit information. Here we people when it comes to this chipping or a spreading process, we have a spreading code that is with a length of a 11-bit or a 11 chips, we can say that, and that has a pattern of for 1 0 1 1 0 1 1 1 0 0 0, and this is the Barker sequence chipping code. That is a 11-bit or 11 chip we have here. And when it comes to this process, suppose if you have a 1 bit, if that 1 bit information is coded as this 11-bit chip code, on that case we need the bandwidth that is 11 times larger than the original one here. Suppose if the original signal rate, suppose if this original signal rate is n, on that case the rate of this spread spectrum, the rate of a spread spectrum is 11 times than the original one here. 11 times than the original one, in the sense it is 11 times larger than the original signal here. Okay. For example, if you look at this particular scenario, here we people are transmitting the values, that is your original signal carries the information that is a 1 0 1. A 1 is represented with a positive voltage and 0 is represented with a negative voltage here. Okay. And here when it comes to this spreading code, we have the Barker sequence, that is a 1 0 1 1 0 1 1 1 0 0 0, and this 1-bit information is coded with this chipping sequence. In the sense, we people are representing this 1 with a 11-bit information here. Here this 1 bit is XORed with these bits here, that is a 11-bit information here. This one is XORed with the first bit of a chipping sequence. One is XORed with the 1. On that case, we people are getting a 0. One is XORed with the 1. One is XORed with the next bit, that is a 0. On that case, we people are getting a 1 as a result. One is XORed with the 1. We are getting a 0 here. When it comes to this particular line coding scheme, we people are using the polar NRZ. Okay, that is a non-return to 0 here. Here, when it comes to this coding scheme, we people are using we people are using a 1 bit represents the negative voltage, whereas the 0 bit or a positive voltage represents a 0 bit, and a negative voltage represents a 1 bit here. Okay. Suppose if you XORed with this signal, one is XORed with a 1, we are getting a 0 here. On that case, I am representing a 0 with the positive voltage. One is XORed with a 0. On that case, I am getting a 1 here, and that 1 is represented with the negative voltage, and so on. And here this spreading, once you spread this original signal, that bandwidth requirement for this spreading signal is nothing but 11 times larger than the original signal here. Okay. And that can be used for a privacy purpose, and this particular process can be used for a privacy purpose. In the sense, if the intruder doesn't have this chipping sequence code, on that case you can provide some sort of a privacy to your content or your signals here. That is, that the data that is transmitted by using this particular technique here. When it comes to the bandwidth sharing, okay, the question we people are getting here is can we share the bandwidth in case of a DSS as in the previous cases? Okay, and we people are getting both the answer yes as well as no here. Suppose if you are using if you are spreading the signal by using some sort of a spreading code that cannot be combined or separated, on that case we can say that the bandwidth cannot be shared. If you are using some sort of a spatial chipping sequences or a chipping codes, by using those chipping codes, if you combine the number of signals as well as you can easily separate them, on that case we can easily say that we can share the bandwidth here. Here you will get a question on these two topics. One is with need diagram explain FHSS, that is a frequency hopping spread spectrum, or you will get a question on with need diagram explain a direct sequence spread spectrum. In the next session, we people are going to discuss about switching. Thank you.